weak spine is a serious threat for Nepal. That is the title of today's soft talk. So let's start the show. Our political leaders, civil servants, policymakers, and planners fly to near and far off shores all too often. If our political leaders are not mudslinging each other, chances are they may be on foreign trips. These foreign visits come against the backdrop of international crisis situations like the coronavirus pandemic, the Russia Ukraine conflict, the Sino Indian conflict, the conflict between the United States and China over Taiwan Straits and the issue of Tibet. These foreign sojourns come amid the emergence of different defense military alliances at regional and global levels. For one thing, our political leaders are always in dire need of medical treatment of all sorts. Is it the result of having to fight too long and hard for different ideals? Ideals like democracy, human rights, secularism, federalism, and whatnot. Does it not mean that time has come for this old guard to retire instead of burning themselves out? Anyways, what significant gains has their supposed hard work spanning the decades has brought to this country? What has their sacrifices, decades long sacrifices, brought to this country? Are we doing better in uh, walks of national life like democracy, the rule of law, national security, good governance, living standards, corruption control, and financial health? Is there more to it than meets the eye when it comes to these trips to foreign shores? Who would know? Medical professionals, perhaps, political pundits, astrologers, maybe? This government seems to have profound faith in those stargazers. Would they know better? The VIPs and VVIPs of this country will always get numerous opportunities to go abroad for state funded medical treatment. But then, what about the members of the general public? At private medical facilities, services cost a small fortune. This means the people in general have to rely on a public health system that is not in the pink of health. Even treatment at public health facilities does not come cheap. Families going broke in course of treatment of ailing members has become a regular affair. Appeals for funds for medical treatment of kith and kin we get to hear and read all too often. We get to hear the moving appeals of people along the clogged arteries of our metropolises. They asking for treatment of their, they seeking funds for the treatment of their uh, families, family members, and friends. It has become an everyday affair through mass media and social media. Also, we get to read and hear about those people appealing for help, for the treatment of their near and dear ones. But all this is turning into a kind of cry in the wilderness, because most of the people at this time in this country are in dire straits. This coronavirus pandemic, the Russia Ukraine conflict, rising inflation have just every people, every citizen of this country, except for those people in high places, the moneyed ones, in a very difficult situation these days. Even after a series of political transformations over the decades, a reliable public health system for treating hearts, limbs, brains, stiff backs, and numerous other ailing body parts is still lacking. This, despite the fact that the Constitution of Nepal has recognized this right to health as a fundamental right. Isn't it a pity? Now, back to the foreign trips of our political leaders and others holding public office. Medical treatment is but a ruse. It's but a ruse. That is what members of the public feel. And then they start speculating about the hidden agendas of those impromptu visits. They start guessing whether this country will lose more pounds of flesh after such a visit. This is because important agendas are almost always under wraps in our high level bilateral, multilateral, and international engagements. Details of secretive engagements and the prices attached with them. These details coming to light decades later after such exchanges is nothing new for successive generations of Nepalese, including ours. At our bilateral engagements in particular, I'm talking about our engagements with India. Note takers are always missing. Occasional pictures of our political leaders engaged in important discussions, grabs of our leaders taking notes on loose sheets of paper, these kinds of pictures so that the Nepali state needs to act far more professionally. It should not act like a college student attending a lecture that he is least interested in. Grabs from such meetings show the other side dictating our representatives. Remember, these are the representatives of a sovereign country, of a sovereign people. The whole idea of this photo op, it appears, is to show who is the boss, who is the gangster in this rough neighborhood that is at the center of a massive global transformation. During such engagements, our side does not get that much of airtime. Even if it does, its concerns do not get due attention. This again brings to notice the unjust and unequal nature of our adjectives filled relationship with India. On the other side of the table, note takers are always there. They are there to keep record of agendas discussed during such exchanges, and understandings reached. What does this do? What does this note taking do? It just boosts the institutional memory of the Indian side, of the other party, and it gives them an upper hand in future negotiations. On our part, our functionaries hardly bother to inform the people about their upcoming impromptu visits. What takes these people to those who take the entire subcontinent as their fiefdom is anyone's guess. The decisions taken after such exchanges and their political on their political possible impact on generations to come. The decisions taken at such exchanges and the impact of such decisions are never discussed in public. These functionaries, these makers of our destiny, our elected representatives, our selected representatives, our bureaucrats, policymakers, planners, never feel the need to uprise the sovereign parliament of their engagements. They never bother to inform us as to what national interest their foreign visits served. This lack of transparency during such crucial engagements. This makes a mockery of ideals like democracy. It makes a mockery of sovereign equality of nations. It's a slap in the face of human rights and a rules based international order. Our powers that be choosing to remain silent on the agendas discussed and understandings or decisions reached. All these may be a stark pointer that these people once again furthered the interests of a ruling elite, our clique, by sailing the country down the river. Our functionaries lacking the spine to stand for Nepal. This has been a chronic problem spanning decades. In this context, facilitating and funding medical treatment of our leaders is like treating the symptoms instead of getting at the root cause of the disease. Therefore, national energies should be channelized to strengthen the spine of our subservient political leadership. This strengthening of the spine of our political leadership will enable this country to stand upright and safeguard a national interest. With this remark, I wrap up this edition of Soft Talk. This is our effort to promote citizen journalism. We aim to be a true voice of Nepal. We aim to put this country, this ill prepared country, at center stage as the world keeps turning, as the world order keeps changing. We aim to just put the country, this small country, this ill prepared country, at the center stage. We aim to uh, protect the interests of the Nepali people in this fast changing global scenario. For this, we need all support from you. We ask you to like, subscribe, and comment. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.